So let's talk about writing test cases. I mentioned it in a previous video, but the main goal of a test case is a something that's going to outline what it's covering and the steps along with what is expected after either a single step or multiple steps to get the user to where you want them to be. So the test case itself is a reproducible artifact that will either be turned into automation or it will be used by someone who will go through, look at the steps, run the steps, and then log what what the results was, what they were. So let's get a notepad up. Okay. So let's zoom in. So, how to write a test case. Now, the actual creation of a test case will vary depend on what platform your company is using, but we're just going to use a notepad just to simplify things. So, the first is going to be the summary or name of the test case, uh your setup, if any, and then the steps. And I mean, that's the majority of it. So for me personally, I like to write my test cases depending on the situation, but normally I like to write them from a user perspective or something that will match the feature that was implemented or the implementation ticket. So let's say we are going to let's say that something simple, a button was implemented and now we're going to write a test case for that button. So the name could be user is able to click um uh login button. The setup might be navigate to site, or maybe it's maybe you want to clear cache to simulate first initial load. And then after that, we can go to the steps where we then outline them. We can say, maybe this is the one that's navigate to www.something.com to, well, actually, so So this is where you get into some different philosophies on test cases, and like depending on what the test case is trying to do, you may not be wanting to validate every aspect. Like we could say, after you've navigated to the site, then you go to then you would then potentially verify site loads, and login button is displayed in top right. So we'll then say, which let's separate these out. So we have the step as a dash, and then we'll use a star as the validation. So then the step will be click login button. And then the validation might be verify login modal is displayed. And we could potentially say that that's the end of this. So the name is that the user is able to click login button. We have, in this instance, we'll say clear cache to simulate initial load, or maybe simulate a new user, or use incognito mode, or something like that, something to make sure that you don't have like persistent data that you're working with. You can then say, navigate to the site or app or something that's going to be able to be understood to any user that's going to do this. After navigating to it, the site loads and we see the login button in the top right, and then we can then click the login button, which we've already sort of established with this previous validation that it's in the top right. So contextually, we can then say just click the login button and then validate that whatever expected behavior is then going to be done, and then this test would then be done and ready to be run. Now, some other things that could be added to this is this a part of some sort of component or label that could be identified, or login? Maybe it's login or button or home page or login button, like something that's going to make it easier to, if you need, then you could like categorize your test cases and or make it easier to put them all within a test suite, which is going to be your collection of test cases. And this is some of the basics. I mean, it's going to heavily depend on your application. Like creating the steps is normally like you click a button, or it already has some fields laid out that you can then fill out. But yeah, this is just a brief overview of sort of the how to create a test case.